Greetings, Earthlings. I'm going to speak in my normal voice. I wanted to report to you a UFO experience that I had back in 2005. That was about a year after I had my first UFO sighting, and my first UFO sighting came when some fireworks were being shot off down at the BYU Stadium of Fire that is held every year. And we were sitting on a hill, my wife and I, and we saw a cloud in the shape of an upward pointing finger. And I told my wife, that's not natural. So I looked up in faith just to see what it was pointing at, and guess what I saw? I saw some UFOs. They looked like normal stars, but they started moving in very strange ways, zigzagging, moving real fast and stopping, and just doing all kinds of stuff. I saw a whole bunch of UFOs doing that night. So it was very intriguing to me, and seemed to open a Pandora's box, if you will. Now, on the night of interest that I'm focusing on with this experience, it just so happens that this UFO appeared outside my window at my apartment in Springville, Utah in 2005. I was staying up late drawing one night, happened to look out the window and saw a craft 10 feet away, about eye level. I was on the second floor. I could just a little lower so I could see the entire craft, and I was able to study it for about 2.5 hours, but I wasn't able to look at it for more than about 20 seconds at a time. The reason why I couldn't look at it for very long was this triangular craft, it was transparent, okay? It was full of innumerable lights. It was completely mystifying. I wanted to figure out what was up with this thing, okay? It was about 40 feet long, maybe 8 feet tall. You know, the body was 8 feet tall and 40 feet long. Each of the segments of the triangle were 40 feet long. And it stayed hovering 10 feet away from my apartment for 2.5 hours. And as I looked at it, I noticed that there was a smoke-like substance that was being sent towards me. It would kind of waft and wisp and meander a little bit, and it seemed to go right in my eyes, and I could feel a pulling sensation, very intriguing sensation. It seemed to be pulling my essence, my spirit, into the craft, and I didn't want to go in the craft, okay? So I would turn away at when I felt like I was in danger, when I felt too much of my essence being pulled out. I'd have to go sit down and draw some more, and then I'd go back to the window, when I felt that I could do that safely, what have you. I did that about 10 times. I was able to, in 20-second increments, I was able to look at the craft about 10 different times in a 2.5-hour period. And it was very, very interesting, to say the least. Now, this craft was full of innumerable lights. There were some blue and some red lights, and these lights were bigger than the yellow lights, which were the most numerous. And the yellow lights were very bright yellow, golden, if you will, and they were about the size of a quarter, a 25-cent piece. But the bigger blue and red ones, there's only like maybe 10 of the red and 15 of the blue, something like that, and they were interspersed, whatever the word is, mixed within them kind of evenly. And so it had the appearance, the arrangement seemed to be, to me, and I'm assuming here, I'm no expert on this because this is a completely foreign thing to me. The blue and red lights were bigger, and they seemed to be kind of overseers, if you will, of the smaller yellow lights. And I got the feeling that these were since they were trying to pull me into the craft, I thought I would probably become a yellow light also, and be kind of trapped in their UFO, even if it was just, I don't know if it temporary, but I couldn't chance it. Is the unknowns regarding this craft. I didn't want to be abducted or taken, and not returned, so to speak. You don't know when you're in close proximity to a UFO. I've been in close proximity to several UFOs, and when you are that near a UFO, you realize quickly that there's unknowns, and that you don't know what their intentions are. You don't know what their range of power is, or any weaponry that they could be, that they could have to, bring to bear upon you. So it's my, belief that we should be cautious when we're near these UFOs, any UFO, whatever. If you don't know what it, if you don't know, you don't know. Believe me, and you'll quickly come to terms with that. But I would imagine that there are some people who would say, "Oh, if I saw you, if I'd go and touch it," Well, I applaud your bravery, your bravado, and I think that I will go ahead and keep doing what I would do, and that's be cautious. Definitely. Because I don't want to go on a trip, one-way trip, and not return, perhaps to my body or my world. Maybe, who knows what the possibilities would be should I be abducted, okay? But anyway, these lights were innumerable, and there were blue and red lights, which were slightly bigger and far less numerous. The yellow lights were so numerous I couldn't count them. But the blue ones and the red ones, there's like 10, like I said, of one, 15 of the other. And I noticed also that the craft, it was like a black craft, but it was transparent, so you could see through the shell of the craft into the inside of it. That's how I could see the innumerable lights. And it was interesting because the craft would move, like a few inches, like 5 inches every once in a while, and the lights inside were separate from the body, and they would have to catch up a little bit, so the craft would move, but the lights would kind of go back a little bit, and then they'd have to move forward a little bit with it. So I was convinced that these lights were inside the vacuum of the craft, and I was convinced also that they were trying to pull me into the craft and perhaps make me one of those yellow lights. Well, eventually I had to go to bed, and the thing left about 2.5 hours after it first appeared, and I was very grateful that I was able to go to bed, because it was, when I walked down the hall towards my bed, I was feeling somewhat disassociated from my body, and that's the experience. Very mysterious, very interesting, and back to the smoke-like substance, I just wanted to, address the fact that the smoke was visible, very ethereal, and it was kind of moving back and forth, swaying back and forth and making its way towards my eyes. And I noticed that the smoke, if that's what it was some essence, I believe it was the essence of all of the lights that were in the craft, that they were emanating something from their spiritual bodies or whatever, and it was melding blue, red, and yellow, and so it was a colorful smoke. And I believe it was the essence of these balls of light that were desirous for me to come on board with them. Now, that's just an assumption on my part, but I did notice that the color of the smoke was a combination of blue, red, and yellow. Anyway, you guys have a good night. See ya. Bye.
It was at his grandmother's, and we slept in the garage because we're kids. We're like, oh, we want to make noise, whatever, right? So, out of respect for her, we're like, let's just sleep in a bed in the garage. And the garage was one of those garages that only had a windows up. There was like 4 windows up top, and it was like thin along, so like you really couldn't see out because it was on a hill. So it was just like light could stream in from the top, but you really couldn't see out. And I was asleep in the bed, and I started being pulled out of my body. You know, a lot of people talk about being abducted and they can't move, and they're being like messed with. And I think a lot of times that it's not the physical body that they think that they are up there with. It's their astral body, and they're fucking with their fucking astral body. Now, some people say they really were like taken, and I'm sure there's both government and alien psyops projects where they do take physical flesh and utilize the body. But there's also, I believe, a soul abduction, because that was what they tried to do to me that night. So I never experienced astral travel before where my soul left my body, but for me the experience was that the soul seems to have completely come down to my root of my spine. And at the root of the spine, it's like you feel it leaving there first, because it's still all up on here, right? But what it is at the back of the head, right where the skull and the neck meet, but there's no bone and skull together. It's like the empty spot between. That is where the soul enters and exits out of the body. And so my soul was being like a magnet pulled out, and it pulled my soul out, and I could feel it coming up from the top, and like it was going up and up, but I could feel it like leaving my body, you know what I mean? And like it literally pulled me out like this. So it was like still a little bit in right here, but rest of me was floating above my body, and I could see that I was on my stomach on the pillow, and that I could see my back, you know, because my back is up in the air, and I could see that I was being pulled away from my physical body, but I was still attached to my body, so I could feel both. And I said no, and I pulled from the bottom, from the tail. The tail had strength. The base of your soul has strength. And I like pulled myself back into my body via the tail. Like my body and my mind and my soul like work together to like pull my body back into the base. And once I could get it back in, locked into the base, then like I could get the rest of me in and like lock my head back up. And as soon as I locked my head, I woke up from this thing, and I opened my eyes, and down on the ground outside of the garage, something was on the floor of the driveway. There was no car in that spot. I don't know how to explain it. Like her car was over, and there was like room for this thing, and this bright blue, iridescent, hardcore, intense light was like this and went up and away. And because those windows are like this, and we were on a hill, and the way that the house is here and the road goes down like that, and the driveway is right here, there's no there's no way that the cars make any light in there. And this thing was like this, like the lights were like, and it was like going up. As soon as it realized that I was awake and I woke myself up out of this thing, it was like on its way out. And I was in that state of like drugged sleep, waking, pulling myself back into my body, and like waking up with my eyes seeing this light going up into the sky. And I was like, these motherfuckers tried to literally suck my soul out of my fucking body. Who has the right to do that? I didn't even have the ability to do it myself. And I don't know if it's safe to do that, honestly. Like, to just leave your body uninhabited and go let your soul wander around out of your body. That's like death. Like, you're like literally like your soul's supposed to stay in your body pretty much until you go. And then if you go on the other side, God's supposed to be the one who decides like if you stay or go. So like, why would I just be like, oh yeah, like I'm just gonna leave my body and like let you like suck my soul up out of my body, out of my spine? I literally felt that like the soul was this big being, but that like had to like take its toes and like kind of like scrunch itself and pull itself down into the body like a tube, and then like, you know what I mean, like try to like survive like by being its full self with the mind and the heart. But like the soul is really scrunched down, strong, wrapped around the spine just to like stay here. It's cemented to the body, but like it's easy for it to unwrap and dissipate. But it didn't feel right when I was being pulled out of my body. And I didn't see the lights or anything when I was being pulled out of my body. I just saw my head and my face, and I saw myself floating above. But then I was like halfway. It was like you were doing like a yoga position where half your body's up, your upper body's like in the air, and your lower back is still like on the ground, right? Like, I was like, no, go back in. But you didn't like fall back in. You had to like be sucked back in, like pull yourself back in and attach to the body, to the spine, and lower part, like to the base somehow, and then like latch on, and then like pull the rest of you in and close the door back here. And I was like, oh, all these people talking about astral traveling, no thank you. After that I was like, no, this is like a dangerous thing that you're so easily to be able to be manipulated, and that something could even just like start to pull your soul out. And there was a craft there, so what were they going to do, transport my astral body in the craft?
Hi, this is Rich, and I want to do a video on soul capturing or soul snatching, because it has come to my attention recently that this is being talked about more and more on the internet. And if you guys have heard about it, it might give you a little scare or be a little freaky for you. And you believe it, don't believe it, what's going on here. Well, I just want to do this video to relieve any fear, worry, and concern you might have, because it's not an issue for us, okay? But I do want to shed some light on it so you kind of get an idea of what it's about. So I'm going to be interviewing Rich over here, and let's go. So, Rich, what is this subject about? Well, this is the subject about when you die, when we leave the physical plane, when our body expires. There's been some talk on the internet about the phenomena of being snatched or captured by ETs, the bad guys, the dark side. So is that possible, or is it not, and what is it about? That's the question. So what do you know about it, Rich? Well, I know that it is possible, but for people who are light workers or working the idea of greater consciousness and higher densities and understanding of things beyond the physical, yada yada, it's not a big problem. It's not, huh? So how's it work then? What's the deal? Okay. First, let me say that. Let me put it this way. As spiritual beings, we could write a book about this. This is a big subject. As spiritual beings, we have been around a very, very long time. We've done lots of things. We've gotten all kinds of mischief. We've been good boys and we've been bad boys. We've done lots of different things. So in the galactic world of, if we look at this galactically, the various advanced races are very familiar with the astral plane. And so you have a physical body, and it can die, and when it dies, you leave that body, and then normally you will move on to a higher plane with your friends and family and like-minded spiritual beings. And from there you will regroup, and you will do something. You will reincarnate, you will move into yet higher densities, you'll be a teacher in this particular plane of existence you're in, or a student, or you'll just take it easy. In one of the Star Trek movies, it was the Nexus. There's that big wave, and we found Captain Kirk in his little place in the mountains. Things like this. This is where we normally go. So the soul snatching or soul capturing phenomena has to do with grabbing a spiritual being right after he dies. Now, in order for that to happen, you have to be a particularly unaware or unsharp being. You have to be relatively clueless and unprepared for that sort of thing to happen. But it can happen. But it's so unlikely for people who are paying attention to the fact that they are a spiritual being in a physical body. If their physical body transpires, they plan on going to a higher world. And it doesn't really matter what your religion is or your philosophical beliefs are. If you have in mind a place to go and you're kind of aware that you could have spiritual guides or some assistance of some kind, and that you have enough spiritual energy to protect yourself and stay sharp and kind of get the difference between being physically in a physical body and dead. See, there are people who, they die and they don't know they're dead. And then they run around, they haunt their house or something. There are people like that. But you gotta consider their spiritual education, or their, they obviously haven't given it a lot of thought. It just wasn't their interest to be curious about the afterlife, what it is and what it's like. So these are the kinds of people that would be more susceptible to this soul snatching thing that the dark side might want to pull off. So if you think you might be so uninformed or dumbed down so that you could actually find yourself haunting your own house, then that kind of person would be the kind of person that would be more susceptible to extraterrestrial beings, tracking you and watching you. As soon as you drop dead, grab you real fast before you can kind of snap out of it. And it only take a few, even the slow people that aren't really thinking about this, given a moment or two to get your wits about you. Oh, I'm in a non-physical world. Oh, look, there's my physical. Oops. So there's various things you can do if you have any kind of worry or concern about this phenomena. But I think the main thing to realize is that in this day and age, a lot of things are coming at us, scary stuff. But if we understand it, just enough to go, oh, that's what that is, oh, that's how it works, that's not me, I'm not going there, and you can redirect your attention on the positive stuff, then it's going to increase your vibration and everything's going to be fine. So to wrap this up, if you wake up one day and your physical body is dead and you're still awake and alive, some of the things you can do to go to your better place is just ask for guides or for help. You can just go, focus on love and loving people. Or if you've really done it right, you can actually, before you croak, you can kind of plan the vacation. Plan the trip. Where do I want to be? What do I want to be doing? And who do I want to be doing it with? You can actually orchestrate this or consider it. You know, write yourself a little essay or a little vacation plan. Okay, when I drop dead, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have an automatic energy field around me of love and light, and one, it's a beacon for my other loved ones to come, you know, help me, you know, get me organized here in the higher plane that I find myself in, and it's also a protective shield, and it just lets the, you know, any of the dark side know that, oh, don't even bother, that guy's covered, you know, don't waste your time. And then also you can you know, you're right, well, where do I want to be? Do I want to find myself in a university setting? Do I want to find myself in a friendly UFO? Do I want to find myself in a heaven world, just, you know, a beautiful forest and little cabin like James Kirk had going in the movie? Do I want to be in a warm, friendly, cozy neighborhood with friends and family? You know, give it some thought, and you can really, you know, write your ticket, so to speak. And whether you will get exactly what you write or not, I don't know. I don't know if I would get exactly what I write either. But I do know that there are higher planes and higher dimensions, and you will go where your consciousness vibrates, where your love and your emotions and feelings are. That's where you will be. So if you get any of this subject I've been talking about, it comes across your plate, I wanted you to be able to Google the topic, and oh, there's a video about it, and so you can rest assured that, oh, I'm good, all I got to do is blah, 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 blah. Okay? So that's it. Thanks for watching. We'll talk later. Bye-bye. Bye. We're going to talk a little bit more about the soul snatching thing. Rich, how is it that you know so much about this subject? What makes you the expert? Well, I'm not the expert, but I used to do a lot of past life regression work on people, and it was a certain kind, and we went deep back into past lives, and not only past lives, but between lives. So, and we go back millions of years. So, in essence, I've been getting from many different people, as they recall their way back past experiences, what kind of adventures they got in. And it was always about traumatic incident reduction. We never went for, you know, the happy place, you know, the happy experiences. Probably, and in retrospect, I probably should have been doing some of that for balance. But in those days, we were just looking for clearing the traumatic incidents for the spiritual being. So we go, you know, 1,000 lifetimes ago, or, you know, 100,000 years ago, 1,000,000 years ago. So people were actually running these experiences where they were interacting with the other extraterrestrial races, and sometimes they themselves had a life form that was not a human life form. So what came of that was that you kind of build a picture of galactic things, you know, what's going on in the galaxy. Now, this is weird because this was back in 1970, so this is like 40 years ago. I was learning all this stuff, and here it is 40 years later. Now it's finally starting to come out on the internet. People are talking about their, you know, the galactic history and the galactic goings-on, the war and the galaxies and stuff. So I've known about it for all these years, but I haven't talked about it. I haven't talked to anybody about it in probably 15 years. It's just stuff you don't talk about, you know. But now it's coming out a lot on the internet. And I go, you know, it is time for me to start sharing what I know about this subject. And so a friend of mine, she was asking me about this. Well, she showed me this new guy, Astral Walker, and he's got an article or an ebook out. And so I started reading it, and there was some freaky stuff in it, and part of the freaky stuff was about the dark side wanting to do this soul snatching or soul capturing of humans as the global catastrophes play out and people drop dead, and they want to capture souls and spirit after they drop dead, right? And I go, wow, that's freaky, but I know what they're talking about. And I go, well, you know, there must be a lot of people who are going to be reading that stuff and get a little worried and concerned about the whole soul snatching thing. You know, do you believe it? Do you don't believe it? Well, it's not wise to not believe something that is actual, and it's not wise to not believe something that is, well, did I say that wrong? You don't want to believe bullshit, but you don't want to disregard the truth just because it's ugly or freaky. So that's why I'm doing the video. So you take it, Rich. Well, okay. I want to cut to the chase where people like us, we don't have to worry about this getting captured thing. I kind of discussed that in the last video, so I really don't want to repeat myself. But I had an experience, an out-of-body experience one time, and this was about 15 years ago maybe. And I had asked some spirit guides to show me something that would be good for me to know about. And I woke up fully awake, out of body, and I was in a kind of a floating bubble of a containment. And it was like a small moon, smaller than a moon actually. But it was a little small place, and it was populated with humans. And I was in this place that was like a receiving area where humans were brought in. Now, they were brought in their astral bodies, not their physical bodies. But, you know, when you're in the astral, or these higher densities, higher, lighter densities, you know, everybody looks like real people. You can touch and feel things. Your perception's real good. You can see and smell and taste, if you focus on that. So anyway, I'm sitting there and go, what's all this? And people are gathered around. They're like refugees. It's like a little refugee camp. Families, literally, families are gathered together, huddled together with their belongings, and so in the astral you can sort of, you know, imagine your stuff, as it were. But so here these people were, and then I saw I could see through the dome. It was like a huge domed containment center, but because of some kind of different vibrational level that I was at, I could see through the dome. And I could see outside the dome, and I saw a spacecraft coming. And it was already parked. And there were ETs, people. They were in red space suits, and they had arms and a head and two legs. I couldn't see them. They were in their spacesuits. But they were taking these huge casket-looking things. And those were the containers that they were bringing other captured souls to this containment center that I was in. And they were floating these containers over, and then letting the people out. And the people were, they were out, and then they were back in their human form, as it were. And they were dazed and distraught and all that. I go, what is going on here? And then they were being processed like you process a prisoner. They were being processed, and then they were sent down to the surface of this mini planet, this little small planetary kind of place. And so out of body, I was able to fly and stuff, and apparently I wasn't affected by this control stuff that these poor people were affected of. So anyway, I flew down, or shifted consciousness to the surface, and there were a lot of people there, and it was a little environment like an urban city, old buildings, smokestacks, people working real hard. There was a little hot dog stand on the corner. This guy's selling hot dogs or some kind of a food thing. It's all mental creation matrix sort of stuff. So they were in a little mini matrix, and they were completely trapped by it. They were dazed. They were like zombie almost. They didn't get the afterlife thing at all. They had died physically. They were in this place, and they didn't get the afterlife thing. And they had gotten snatched up by these ETs and taken to this place. So I'm going, well, is anybody awake here? So I walk out of the city, and walking away from city center, I go over some railroad tracks. It's just as real as can be looking, you know. And I see a woman walking toward me. I go, is anybody awake here? I wonder, is she at all awake? So she got close to me, and I looked at her. She kind of looked dazed. And I said, are you awake? And she just, like, didn't even pay me, just kind of like she was in a daze. And I go, and it just beamed a lot of intention. Are you awake? It was kind of like, wake up kind of thing. And she snapped out of it for a second. She looked at me with fear in her eyes and freaked out. Turned off running back towards city center. She went back to where all the other dazed people were. I'm going, wow, this place is freaky. I'm getting out of here. So I started walking toward the mountains out to the country. As I got closer to the, you know, I could see, you know, there's woods and I could see trees and stuff along the road I was going down. And I've got my eye on the blue sky and the mountains in the background. As I got closer to the mountains, my field of vision started blurring. It's got that like heat wave phenomena you see on a hot desert road. You get that ripple effect when you look through it. Well, that's what was going on. So the mountains were looking like that. And I go, what the heck's this? And I got closer and I realized that this was an energy field that was the containment perimeter. And as I got closer and closer to that, because I decided, well, I know I'm out of body, I'm going to go back to my physical body. So I was walking toward, and I was going to go through the containment energy field, and I started getting afraid. And the closer I got to that, the more fear I experienced. And I got this real strong compulsion to run back to the city center, just like that girl did. I go, oh, that's how it works. This thing is a fear energy band. It'll cause you fear. It'll trigger the implant. Get back to the herd, and you run back to the herd, the crowd, and you feel safe and dazed, and you're still contained. I say, screw this. And I just kept walking. I walked right through it. As I walked through it, the mountain, the image of the mountains, because it all was a projection image, holographic projection, it started dissolving as I went through that weird feeling thing, and boop, and right back to my physical body. And I go, wow, what the hell was that? And what I realized, you know, I picked up a lot of stuff telepathically and knowingly while I was there. And these people were being picked up right after major catastrophes. And the one I saw these guys coming in from was like a huge train wreck of some sort. And so here it is 30 years later, 30 or 40 years later, on the internet, this Astral Walker guy is talking about the dark side, the ETs, the reptilian gang. They're interested in grabbing people up in their astral, so-called soul snatching or soul capturing. But it only works if the person who is being snapped up is considerably unaware of what's going on in the world and beyond the physical plane. So anybody that's watching this is kind of going to be attuned to the whole out-of-body thing, and we kind of get, generally speaking, what it's all about. We have our spirit guides and our loved ones, and we are working to increase our vibrations. So we're already awake. So we're just not going to have a problem with this. This is for people who are unaware, and don't have a clue. And even most of them are not going to have a problem with this. It's not so much that it's not like people are fear-mongering when they're talking about this subject. It's just that it is a subject that, for some people, it'll be very good for them to know about and what they can do to fix it. So all you got to do to fix it is, like, you know, intend love and light, and literally have a protective energy field around you when you croak. It's just like really it's just a strong, high vibrational, loving auric field, or your energy field is in a good place. And because you guys are already awake, it's not going to be a problem. But you can also ask, for help from your guides, and you can also work a scenario now. You just kind of write it down in your journal or something. Say, well, when my physical body dies, I plan on, this is my intention, this is my plan. These are the people I want to have here with me to help me move to a higher place, yada, yada. So build up your little strategy. If thing is at all a concern for you. So that's all. I just want to share all that. And there's just a ton of stuff to talk about this subject. One last thing you need to know is that a lot of us, because we've been living for so long and so many lives, millions and millions of years, we played good guy and bad guy. If you have a particular worry about being snapped up or captured after you're in spirit, it's likely that you have done that same thing to somebody else. You know, I probably have. I probably played both sides, and we've done it. You know, we've got millions and millions and millions of years of experience. We've played both sides of the game. Most of us have, and so that's another thing you can do. You can release the karmic debt of it all, or the feeling like on a subconscious level, you know, it's payback time, and you're going to let it happen to yourself. No, release. If you just kind of look at that and release that, forgive yourself if you ever thought you might have done something like that. Hey, and let it go, so you don't attract it to yourself in that way. And that's another thing. The whole law of attraction. Some of the law of attraction phenomena you can use to make sure you attract the better stuff. You know, create and imagine your better world you want to be in, instead of negative stuff, just positive stuff. Okay, so that's it. That's part 2 of this soul snatching thing, and why we really don't have to. We don't have to worry about it. We can be happy that we got a better thing going than that. Okay, so that's it, Rich. Thanks for listening, and thank you for sharing. Okay, we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.